Now, whether you're a brand new player or perhaps returning to New World, I wanted to put this guide together to really help you level the best way, level to perfection, if you will, in this game. Now, I just also released a new guide to teach you how to level the fastest way in New World, but at its core, I want to invite you into this theory of MMORPGs and into this practice within New World, because guess what? Your gear score is not the most powerful thing in this game. It really is money. And I want to teach you how to level up enjoyably and also get wealthy while doing so. In today's video, we're going to talk about specifically how and where you should focus and spend your money to help give you the best bang for your buck, to help improve your leveling experience throughout this game. And if you still want to kind of push a couple of levels, you can always check out the other guide here on the playlist on this channel. Just check out the player guides playlist, or if you want more information, you can always ask below in the comments or hit us up on Discord or join us over on Twitch, where we stream this game every Friday as a community night. This is a great place for you to come and us help you get your game goals accomplished. So links are all in the description if you want any of that. And we should kick this off the way we usually do. Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Brian if you happen to be new around here, but if you're a returning subscriber, you look marvelous today. Thank you so much for being here. And that's what you get for subscribing, by the way. Free compliments and extra greetings at the start of these videos. Now, the first thing I want to kind of try to educate people on, this is something that I've been preaching since day one with New World, is that the end game actually begins at level 1. Yes, there's content that will open up at level 60, and a lot of people do want to push up their gear score, and there is value in that. Again, if you want to go do the fastest way, go check out the other guide. Today, we're going to talk about the best way, and we're going to start off with the concept that everything adds value and that money is power in this game. So the goal here is to help you level, at the same time setting yourself up for success, because at some point you will hit level 60. For me, it took me 4 months, and it was an incredible and a very enjoyable 4 months of leveling. But I also ended up setting myself up with a great deal of success with multiple gathering skills near or at cap, refining skills, continuing to push themselves up. And then for me, I'm just not much of a crafter. While I have put more into cooking, I don't ever feel like that's something that drives me. So the other aspect of this is that don't do anything that you don't want to do. Never find a system that is like, yes, this is efficient, this is the best way to do it, but that it burns you out. Burnout is a real thing within MMORPGs, and I actually tend to avoid it pretty well. And namely, that's because I usually go and focus in on the fun rather than, what is the most meta way of doing things. But let's go ahead and break this down, because there are things that you could be doing and perhaps will be able to take advantage of. But again, if it's not fun, don't do it. First things first, let's talk about investment, player investment, right? We're going to bring up my character profile here, and we're going to stop that little fun dance that I've got going on. And I would say if you are going to invest in yourself, focus in on bags. We're going to have new bags here in the October release, but bags are going to increase your overall carrying capacity. Right now, mine is currently at 1350. I don't believe that's the current cap in the game itself. It isn't ultimately so important to break the bank, to go broke in the game just to have a little bit more, but you can always kind of play it by ear. But bags are going to be a huge help for you. Now, as you level, you do get more bag slots. This is known, but even if you're in your levels, your 10s, your 20s, your 30s, etc., try and take advantage of the bags that are available so you can have more time out farming. Same concept goes with tools. Obviously, tools get better when you hit level 60. But if you have the ability, have the best tool for your level range that you can with the best perks. Now, personally speaking, you could probably go out to Reddit. I'm sure that someone has tier listed the perk slots, for this game. But beyond that, I love gathering Outcry. That gives me haste, so I'm bouncing from node to node really quickly. And then any kind of luck is always kind of fun. But luck is always weird when it comes to gamers. If you're lucky, you're going to feel the luck. If you're unlucky, you're always going to think that luck isn't working. That's just how I always see it play out online. You can let me know what category you fall into. But then yielding also has its benefits as well. You also have the ability to pick up these potions. I've actually got them slotted in my bar. Proficiency boosters. This is going to help you give you more yield, more resources, and they have different tiers of this consumable. You can find them on the market, or you can actually craft these at level 20 with engineering, and I can show you guys how to do that here in just a second. But note that these things are actually quite valuable. Even in their weak state, it just gives you that extra, in that regards. And then finally, also, I do encourage having a house, at least one house. I have my house set up here in Everfall, and the reason is because you get storage. You get more storage going on. Now, here's how I function on this, right? You can see my map, you can see Everfall. Yeah, I'm at level cap, doesn't really matter. I tend to love to sit in the zone. I sat into Everfall at least into my, early 40s in terms of my level. And the reason it ends up being is that I can go in, pin these various different objectives that I can do. I also will grab any and all town board, and I also go and grab some faction missions. So if I just go run up to the faction vendor, I'll pick up some faction missions even though I'm higher level, because those factions, not necessarily the most efficient in terms of territory standing, but I love pushing up that territory standing because it opens up the game for that zone for more perks. Let me just kind of grab these 3, and we'll see how my map ultimately looks as well. So I'm going to grab this, pin that one. I have a couple of things that listed up here. And so I've got some faction missions right here. And then I've got, obviously town board, and I've got some quests that are kind of going on in the zone itself. This is kind of how then I plan out what I would consider my routes. Now, if I actually pull up my main menu, I think what's happening is I do have a couple of quests that might be kind of overriding the different factions. It looks like Purge Stone Barrows is one. That means I need to go into that as a dungeon. That's not necessarily bad. You can get some good rewards. Now, shouldn't necessarily think that dungeons aren't fun. I think the dungeons, or expeditions, or expedungeons as we call them sometimes, are absolutely a blast to play in this game. But note that you get your quests. The thing that you would also pair this up with is with routes. Now, if you look overall, in terms of design, let's say you want to focus in on mining, you could do a couple of different things. Within here, you're going to find a lot of stone, you're going to find some iron, you're going to jump down in here and find a lot more iron. Depending on, essentially, if you start looking at resource locations, you can start to see, based off the kind of type of area, the resource you'll actually kind of find them to be. So in this case, going up and doing these number 1 quests would actually probably push me more into the hills. If I want to gather garlic and herbs, I might go sit out here and farm up garlic and herbs, while at the same time killing any of the boars that I see, namely because I find that I get a lot of boar town missions as well, thus giving me some experience, giving me a little gold, giving me some of that sweet territory standing. And so all these kind of coming into play, if I actually pull up my territory standing, I do have an upgrade for this zone right now, and there's a couple of options you can end up picking. Overall, I ended up never selecting the XP booster. I always kind of selected anything that was either going to increase my gathering speed, was going to increase my reputation, or, being that I have a house, reduce my property tax and upkeep within that. Now at this point in time, I would say trading tax might be good because I'm doing a lot more selling on the market. So I'll go ahead and take that as a bonus as well. Thus, overall, leading to some strength that I have when playing within the zone and selling my items that I'm refining within the zone itself. So that is something that I would kind of focus in on, especially because as a part of the faction mission, you do get these 3 bonus turn-ins every day. And that's just going to add into more of your currency. And it is also going to give you more of that territory standing and other little options as well. So I'd actually use this as both a coin option and a territory standing, and those tokens also pushing up your faction over your XP for level 60. Then essentially, like I said, everything in this game is going to give you XP. So you're going to be leveling. You're just not going to be leveling fast, but you're going to be leveling in more, what I call more bars. I love filling up bars. I love everything that can push bars up. And here I have actually been gathering a bunch of stone. I'm going to go ahead and push this up real quick and get additional experience. Continuing to push up my stone cutting, this would have also rewarded me with experience if I wasn't already level 60. And if I had the materials, I can go ahead and upgrade these as well. But in this case, being that I'm farming up stone because I'm trying to push up my mining, and that's just necessarily how I do it. We'll go ahead and go to the markets here in a second. The other thing I really enjoy, again, is these proficiency potions. So just tools, ammunition, consumables. You can see here soul mode and air mode. If anybody is wanting to know how to make money in this game, pay attention to the motes here. These are going to be very valuable to you. Let me go ahead and just actually craft up a bunch. If I could push them up to 60, which would be wisps, which take those motes and then make them more, or I could do this in this regard. So let me go ahead and well, regardless, I'm gonna go ahead and turn these into wisps and make some higher level of those potions just for myself, whether it ends up being the case. As I go and I gather, I look at every opportunity, whether I'm gathering wood, in this case it would be timber, or I could turn that timber over here into charcoal, and if I'm gathering in any kind of ore that I can then craft up. So again, everything's giving me that beautiful XP. I'm pushing my refining, which is going to make me more market competitive as well. And being that I've done that, I can push up some iron, and if I got the materials, I should be able to do flux and star metal. So this is also going to start giving me kind of the shopping list. I'm going to start pinning these options so that way items are going to show up with this symbol, so I know, hey, I need to make sure I hold on to that and I don't sell it. So be sure to go ahead and feel free to always use your pinned recipes as an option. But anyway, I crafted up a bunch of stone blocks. We're going to see if they are ultimately valuable on the market themselves. I could turn them into brick if I decided I wanted to invest in sandpaper. Ultimately, that's always going to be a judgment about what the market is essentially kind of demanding at that time. I've got 616 stone blocks. The price right now, every time I go to look at stone blocks, is they're increasing in price. Let me go ahead and sell all of these. I'll take 31 cents and I'll take that money, put it in the bank, and call it a day. So I'm finding that by leveling, quote unquote, my mining, I'm just feeding myself in with hundreds and hundreds of of gold coin doing that. So we talk about that. That's essentially what happens when I return, and that's why you want to have your bags as high as they are. Then what I end up doing is I end up doing these various different routes. I know that I have a quest over here and I have this quest down here as well. I could go in this direction, but what I would tell you to do in this case is that yes, I can return home, and that's going to be a value. You can always reset that return on your home using Azoth, and so you can have that instant return, which is really nice to have personally. But don't use it. It's not actually about getting back quickly, because you end up missing out on various different chest runs. You might be running around and you might miss out on some herbs that are going to level up your harvesting. Flint, for whatever reason or another, sometimes goes up in value or not, but you end up getting the option to gather various different boulders, cut down different trees. And the other thing that you'll see here is those hidden stashes. You can actually get up to 3 hidden stashes a day, and those hidden stashes are going to be very valuable. It looks like I got 3, and I also got some sweet garlic. I know that probably sounds a little bit weird, but garlic, especially in Everfall from a herb collection, it's a rare resource, and it usually has and fetches an excellent price. Just keep an eye out on that. But you get 3 hidden stashes a day, just like you get 3 turn-ins a day. If we just open these bad boys up, it's going to give you some gypsum at level 60. I don't know if it actually feeds you with gypsum under level 60. You guys can let me know in the comments if that's the case. But you're going to see all these different motes. These things pretty much are gold in the bank. So is this coin. And you can just open up all 3 each day for all these different little bonuses, in which that you're going to find yourself with plenty things to do, and feeding yourself with resources that you can sell or you can put back up on the market. So always, I would highly recommend, anytime you're running any piece of content, whatever you're trying to level, make sure that you're always grabbing those herbs no matter what zone you're in, because they're going to feed you with so many resources that continue to have various different value on the markets themselves. But it's not about like knocking down the biggest boulders. You can see here I'm currently 171. My goal today would be to push that to at least 175, which would open me up to various different objectives that I can then obviously gather. For example, like let's go into mining. If you click on any of the skills, it will tell you what you have access to. And my next level is 175, so I can gather orichalcum. It tracks at 200, but at least I have that flexibility. And so as this goes up, I can see exactly kind of what my reward track is for all of these different things. And so you can see here I did push logging to 200. Same concept with music and any of all this. All of these things are going to reward you with leveling experience, and at the same time it's going to set you up that when you get into the end game, for example, leatherworking, if I can get into scarhide and smolderhide, that's going to be that's money right there. Like this is just going to print me money. I cannot express to you how valuable these things end up being. And so I'm getting ultimately closer and closer, and it just takes time. And that's why I would say that as you're running, even if you're in a lower level zone than quote unquote your level, like I'm usually focusing on the refining, and any enemy that I end up coming across is an enemy worthwhile, especially like when you think about wolves and deer and anything that might be tracked. So if I just go ahead and think about this, I probably switch my weapons. There we go. We'll get that rabbit. any rabbit is going to give me obviously tracking and skinning, but then all of a sudden I'm getting that rawhide and more. I have a town board for elk. I'm going to grab this guy, farm him up. And that's why I always love those symbols. Gathering as much rawhide is going to feed in at extra gold. So it is not, there's no wasted time. Like you could be obviously using and gathering trees, but you would probably fill up your bags a little bit too quickly. So like pick maybe one or two things to be focusing in on. In this case, like harvesting and mining ends up being very valuable for me. And then anytime I come across a node in which I can pull up my map, and I can also like right click and set kind of different markers. I like to go into these different zones that I know that you're going to end up finding plenty of iron that you can then feed yourself. Now, this then goes into, as you start getting into like new players or returning players, helping them out actually is super valuable. If you ever find somebody who's low level and they just need your help running around, you can easily jump into it and say, hey, let me help you, because they're going to take you to places maybe you haven't been in a while. And there's going to be plenty of harvesting and gathering resources that you'll have at your disposal. And you'll also get lots of treasure chests, which will feed you with all kinds of different, materials that will make it obviously more efficient as you're doing your refining for some of the higher level, refining modes themselves. But yeah, that's essentially kind of what I want to talk about. Like, don't sleep on your crafting and gathering. For me personally, I'm not a big crafter, and that's just not anything that ever is ultimately my jam personally in games. But I do dabble enough in it. But beyond the dabbling, the gathering and the refining ends up giving me a lot of ability to make money while just kind of playing, whether it's fishing, gathering, relaxing, or actually questing and more. So it ends up being something super valuable to me in the long run. So as I will do, like after this video is up and loaded, I'll be farming up all of these stones, because then that ties into my stone cutting, which is going to give me plenty of value in that. And then I go turn that in. I actually choose to run back to the town, gathering any additional resources, refining it all, selling it, and then basically going out and about it again. And that is essentially my inefficient way, my fun way, the best way to level, because then at some point you're going to hit level 60 and you're going to have all these options open up to you. And then when it gets back down to it, jumping into your trade skills, once you hit 200, you have the ability to get emerald gypsum at each of these different tiers, which essentially are going to help push your gear score up in the first place. So you will find yourself with many new ways at increasing your power and at the same time increasing your wealth in the game itself. Hopefully you guys found this video useful. If you did and you feel like it earns it, hit that like button. Subscribe for more New World content. Check out the Epic Loot Radio podcast if you want more. And if you really want to go above and beyond and support the channel, you can always check out membership over at Ginger Prime, or if you have Amazon Prime as a perk, you get a free sub over on Twitch. Work to Game is where I stream over on Twitch with my friend Chris. You can always go bless us with those, or choose to bless those with somebody else. Those are Bezos bucks. You get it every month, and spend them on somebody over there. And we appreciate you and all of the support that you have already given us just by watching these videos and lurking on the streams as well. Anyhow, guys, thanks so much for being here. YouTube thinks that it has a couple of videos that you might enjoy up on the screen for you. Check those out if you want. Otherwise, I wish you all the very best, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. But until then, take care.